Welcome to the Shit You Should Wipe podcast with me, Dr. Debbie, your clarity wizard, life coach, and ex-scientist. This is the place for kind humans who want their life to feel as good on the inside as they look on the outside, to achieve their life transition goals and live by design, not by default, who want to experience personal growth, not personal change, and who want to experience more clarity, joy, and bravery. So if you want to know what that means in practice, keep listening. Hello, Wipers. It's been a while. It's actually been a couple of months since my last episode. And this is because I've been doing some rethinking, restructuring around my business. And so I needed some time to do that. And as you know, if you've listened to me, it's always a question of choosing what to prioritize. And so I've been deprioritizing this podcast while I was doing this other job. But now I'm back and I'm really excited because today is actually my birthday. Yay! It's May the 4th. And yeah, I'm really lucky because this is my birthday. And as a lot of you might know, May the 4th is also Star Wars Day because May the 4th be with you. And I feel quite lucky to have this birthday, to be honest, because it helps people remember it, my kids in particular. But also because even though I'm not a particularly big Star Wars fan, I think of it as a nerd holiday. And I'm definitely a big nerd. So there you go. But let's get to the topic of today. So today I wanted to talk about three things, three critical things in my opinion that you might not have been paying attention to, and that might be the reason why either you're not achieving your goal or your growth, or the reason why you feel so tired all the time. See, as a life coach, people come to me to get help achieving their goals. And while this is definitely what some of what we do, I also spend a lot of time in my marketing in particular, but also while coaching, talking about stress and nervous system regulation. And if you're like me, you've probably been annoyed by that. As a go-getter, I definitely was annoyed by my coaches or mentors or just people talking about stress, when really what I was thinking was, just tell me how to get better organized or better focused or more productive. I don't want to hear that I'm stressed. I know that I'm stressed, and I knew that. I also knew that I needed to be less stressed. And I even knew that yoga and meditation was good for that. And indeed, I did quite a bit of yoga and meditation. But still, there were three critical things that I wasn't really paying attention to. The first one is the concept of protection versus growth. Okay, we often think of survival as protection or defense. But as I learned from Dr. Lipton, who wrote a really great book called The Biology of Belief, biologically speaking, an organism needs both protection, that means moving away from threats. So for like a cell, it would be like toxins, and for a human, it would be a lion, for example. But it needs both protection and growth. That means growth is like moving towards the good stuff. So for a cell and for human, it's food or nutrients to survive, right? Both protection and growth to survive. Also, think about the billions of cells that our body replaces daily. That is growth as well, right? And I believe this is one of the reasons why we humans are driven to personal and professional growth. However, what's explained in that book is that the mechanism for protection and growth cannot run at the same time, right? Protection always get prioritized, because if you're chased by a lion, you don't need to spend any energy seeking or digesting food, right? Because you're going to be food yourself. So when we're constantly stressed, we're constantly in a protective mode, and no or very limited growth can happen. So this is why people like me now go on and on and on and on about stress and nervous system regulation. It's not to annoy people, but it's because it's the biological foundation to growth. And because you need growth to survive and thrive, right? So that's the first thing. You can't really have growth if you're always in protection mode, and you do need growth to thrive, basically. Now, the second critical thing is stressor versus stress. So now that you hopefully are a little bit more motivated to kick stress in the butt, let's make another distinction, which is stress versus stressor, which was popularized by Dr. Nagoski. She's the author of 2 books. The book that I read about this in was Come As You Are, but I know she's written a second book that I haven't read yet. It's coming in the mail for me, on burnout. And she explains the difference between stress and stressor. So a stressor is the thing that activates stress in your body. It can be an external thing like work, money, kids, or an internal thing like memories or self-criticism, etc. Stress, on the other hand, is your body's response to the stressor that prepared it both physiologically and neurologically to, for example, run away from the lion. So it does things like increasing your heart rate, shutting down digestion, sending blood in your limbs so that you can run, etc. And it was designed to respond to acute stress. So why is that an important distinction? Because often we get rid of the stressor, but not the stress. So let's imagine you've ended off your big project, which was the stressor, and you sighed relief. Well, you still haven't really completed the stress cycle, right? The stress cycle is only completed once you've actually run away from the lion or the stressor and used up all that protective energy that your body was preparing for you. So if you ever felt like, jumping up and down or laughing or being loud after handing in your homework or project, but stopped yourself because it isn't like professional, that might be why. And I'd seriously advise that you go somewhere where you can actually do that, because that would help close the stress cycle. But really, any physical activity, movement, sound, or emotion coming out of your body will do. So you could shake, you can jump, you can hug, you can laugh, you can scream, you can grunt. You get it, right? So that's the second critical thing, stressor versus stress. And not only removing the stressor, but actually closing the stress cycle loop. All right. Now the third one is compounded stress cycles. Now, this is a concept that was taught to me by my personal and business coach, Maggie Reyes. And I love it because I told you how I thought a weekly yoga class was beneficial, and it is. But it also reminded me why it is important to complete stress cycles daily or even several times a day, which I was taught by my first coach 2 years ago. And I used to do, but you know how we always slip like right back into habits. And I believe this compounded stress cycle is also the answer to I don't have big problems in my life, so why am I feeling this way? You know, I hear that a lot, like, oh, but I'm so lucky, or I don't have big problems, so why do I feel blah? Well, compounded stress cycles happen when you have an open stress cycle. Let's say your kids didn't sleep well or woke you up, and then it's topped up by another open stress cycle. Let's say your boss was a jerk or something, and then it gets topped up by another one. Let's say you received this month's energy bill and it's huge. And then another one, maybe you got caught in traffic after work because, I don't know, so-and-so just had to tell you that thing before you left. Anyways, before you know it, your body is completely overwhelmed by all those open, compounded stress cycles, right? And your life doesn't objectively sucks, but your body is swimming in stress chemicals. It's in complete protective mode, you know, from the point that I made earlier. It's kind of like if you were a race runner, you know, when you're a race runner, you have the get ready, set, go. And so when you hear the get ready, set, you actually open a stress cycle, right? It floods your body with adrenaline that's going to make you run really fast. And go, you release all that, you close the stress cycle. So now when you have compounded stress cycles, it's like you were a race runner and several times a day someone told you, get ready, set, you know, and never says go. And so you're in that get set state all the time. And this is what makes you feel so tired all the time. So what are we to do? Well, let me tell you, I have fought that idea myself for a long time. While regular weekly classes definitely help with chronic stress, I believe that only daily, multiple time daily stress cycle closing practice or practices will reduce this compounded stress. So it might look like that tea break with a colleague that makes you laugh, or that hug with your partner, like a not just a 1 second hug, but maybe a 5, 6, 7 second hug. Actually, I think the science says 20 seconds is really optimal. It's that jumping up and down for a few seconds when you're excited or when you're feeling that stress in your body, or that growl or grunt that you've been containing. You know, all of them will do. Or even singing in your car. I do that all the time. Anyways, so here are the 3 things that you might have been overlooking, not paying attention to, and that prevent you from growth because you're always in that protection mode, and that also makes you tired all the time. Yeah, I hope this helps. Feel free to reach out if you have any questions or feedback. You can also leave a review on the podcast that will help other people find it. Thank you. See you soon. And if you want fresh wipes and actionable tips every single week in your inbox, you better get on my email list. It's called the Brain Wipes. Also, make sure to download The Mental Offload. It's my free ebook to learn how to start wiping things off your to-do list. It's been known to help people save precious time and energy. It's also been called what everybody's psychic butthole needs.